Hi, I'm Tommy.
Hi, I'm Nemanja. Welcome to Cloud Couch.
It's where we discuss cloud topics from a couch perspective.
Not so comfortable couch. Hi, welcome to the new episode of Cloud Couch, where we discuss a bit about cloud cost. So, Tommy, tell me why cloud is perceived to be so expensive.
Yes, it's something that pops up every now and then, and there's a lot of, I guess, also confusion, but a lot of different perspectives into costs and how you're comparing things. So it quickly gets into comparing apples and oranges, and sometimes, yes, indeed, you can conclude it's expensive, and in many cases, it's actually not so. And it really depends on, in my view, and that's also what we want to dig deeper into here today, is like you need a holistic view on both what is needed from the business point of view in today's landscape to be able to execute quickly in the market and provide value to customers, but also internally. How do you organize yourself? What is it that you're doing in the company? What can you easily buy from a cloud provider? Could be operations, can be security, can be other things. And how do you kind of quantify everything so you understand what you're comparing? Today's on-prem versus a different capable company, organizations, and different products and different speed of execution. When you kind of net everything. So my view, just to kind of, is obviously like, if I have to choose one thing, or how I see it is, cloud is definitely not more expensive. That's a very clear thing. It's partly because you compare something too small, too isolated, and you might see that, okay, if I compare it like this, it's more expensive, or maybe I'm just very early in migrating a very old legacy system into cloud, and for some reason we didn't yet get to fully start optimizing costs, and then maybe it looks more expensive. Can be many different points.
Let's say I'm a CFO of our organization, and I know how much I'm paying for my applications in the on-premise data center. I don't know exactly how much each application is spending, but I know the bulk figure. It's this much. I know that IT resources, that there's people that are supporting keeping the lights on and the new development cost me this much. So I have a bucket of money that each month I need to give away. How can you tell me that this bucket, if I go to cloud, will be smaller? Or is it going to be bigger? Or for a while it's going to be bigger and then get smaller? What do I do?
Yes. So, I mean, obviously it depends now. Well, let's say hypothetically, let's say you have a procurement cycle that is 5 years, or it can be something. So you bought a bunch of hardware, and then
and licenses
and then you allocate that to the whole organization. And again, how big is your organization? But just to think. And yeah, indeed, you have no idea other than that kind of number that's on your balance sheet as an aggregate. You have no idea how much of this is productive, meaning how much is generating revenue for the business, how much is creating utility, so value, and how much is just wasteful. And then you have a whole organization that you sum up as well into how much revenue you get, maybe across business unit, but you have no transparency. How much are these units using your resources? Of course, in some organizations you have cost centers and you have it split down, but it's on the same level. I mean, it's a very crude view onto your entire business and how you're deploying your IT resources.
So I would get transparency on those things if I move to cloud.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's a very important first step, so that you can say, we are paying. First of all, we are paying monthly. A recurring bill to Amazon. It's a single number.
Or other cloud vendors.
Or other cloud providers. But you're paying monthly, so you have an aggregate. You have an annual cost.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, as part of doing a migration, lifting over and migrating things from your on-prem, you would do some first level of maybe even you could optimize, because there are some high-level things that are easy to adjust. But the other thing is, you might need to start looking at the tools around costs. Just identifying and tagging stuff in Amazon, for instance. You can do different things to get, an understanding of different departments, different applications, different systems.
That is once it is in the cloud, right?
Once it's in the cloud.
So the first step, get to the cloud as fast as possible. Move everything from, let's say, on-premise to the cloud,
yes,
so that you can have this high-level transparency and visibility into how much you spend per each application or department or unit.
Yeah.
And then start optimizing from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way I think it's really very straightforward. So just to come back to answering your question there from the CFO point of view, it's really like, put everything into the cloud, because it allows you to do in parallel of, now let's say we want to start understanding costs better and optimizing costs. In parallel to this, because you're not moving to cloud just because it's cheaper, you're moving to cloud because you get other capabilities that are important for your business to create value and be fast into the market. So you want to quickly get there, like you say. Then you want to start having some degree of transparency, visibility into your costs, where you're spending it, how you're deploying your costs. And then that's an evolution where you're getting more and more granular based on now initially a macro view of your landscape, and then digging deeper into, say, here are the applications that generate revenue, because here's where we have the business models. Here's, internal utilities in priority order. And here's maybe the rest. Mm-hmm. And first of all, you want to try to make it into a view that you don't have any idle capacity, for instance. That's something to look at. So you're just paying for what you're using. Okay, that's cloud.
Just on that point, yes. Paying as you're using, don't you think that can also be an issue? Because it is hard to estimate how much cloud will cost you for the next year. Let's say if you're on premise, you know exactly how much you will pay for your IT landscape next year. It's all the hardware plus all the licenses for applications, all the developers, and all the operations infrastructure team that is maintaining all of that. You have the number and you can budget that in. It's the capital expense, right? Now moving to this operational expense, pay as you go, you can't predict how much it depends on the usage, on the data transfer. Lots of points are coming into the cost factor, and you can't go to a CFO and say, we moved to cloud and per year it's going to be 200K. You have no idea. So how do you sell that to companies? That there is no estimation that you can give upfront. They can't budget in. Pay as you go can be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so this is opening up obviously a lot of other important things, but let try to stay on a high level here, otherwise we get stuck. But absolutely, it can be challenging because you're changing a way of thinking about things into something which is actually necessary in order to be an agile business, and an agile business is needed in today's business landscape, and it's not something that's going to become optional. You need to be very fast to create value for customers, and in order to do that you need to also have a system that's very flexible to adapt, so being elastic based on peak hours where your customers might be using your system, and scale, maybe even globally scale. Now if you are looking at something and you think it's completely unknown what the budget is or what it could be, well, that's not true, because obviously, first of all, it's not like you go with empty hands into the cloud. You know what you have, so you know what you're paying now, and you know, or should know. If you don't know, you need to look at what are the systems that we have. So the way I would do it, the
number of users, the data transfer.
But more important, at least I would do like this. So part of the inventory of applications, I would look at, okay, what are the revenue bringing systems? Which ones? And then I would look at what are the utility systems, and then maybe the rest. At least have 3 buckets and understand these systems. And then when you do that, I would go into understanding at least the next level of the infrastructure for these, and you do know it because, they run somewhere. So you do know something in terms of, is it virtual machines, how many, how much data, blah, 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 all this stuff. You have some ideas and how many users, the traffic. And this is enough to get, the next level of idea of what's the max if you would run this system, 24/7, what's needed in terms of network, in and out, computation, storage, and so on. And then you just put that into the calculator for your cloud, and you get out at least an upper bound, just to give an idea. But
okay, so you will have some idea how much it will cost.
For sure. I mean, that's for sure. And I think it's much more about realizing, that this is roughly where the costs are, and then you realize that these are all the benefits of being in cloud, and that would be then the next rabbit hole to go and try to put costs onto a lot of the hidden things, and where you maybe today only have very high level aggregates related to, people costs around, operational. But, really the difficult ones are risks that you have and lead times that you have, or just being stalled by not having enough capacity. So your team or your business is, stagnated or waiting for maybe a new server or a new something. So a lot of this is just problems today in many cases where in the cloud you could just extend it. And now just the last thing in this is where you want to get to is that you want to understand how your revenue bringing systems scale and what they cost, so you can understand what's the cost per revenue. That's at least how I think about it, because obviously you want these systems to scale. You want to pay a lot for these systems because then they scale out because you bring more revenue. So it's more like, you want to have transparency, visibility, and then you want to start getting into control over not paying more than needed, but really paying. So you see that if we deploy capital into these systems that generate revenue, they bring more revenue, or actually it's the way or other way around. The more they need to scale out, the more revenue they bring in, but we also pay more, but you obviously have a margin, a profit.
Yes.
Yeah. So that should really be it's still very high level here, but it's more like you need to realize what it means to be in the cloud and why that's a requirement. And then you need to see how you get into a transparent situation where you also have visibility on what the systems and the parts cost, so that you can actually do something.
It's a bit of a leap of faith, right? It's like
for me it's not. I think for many organizations it might be, but it's simply because they are not.
It's not going to be more expensive, I hope, but
no.
I think it's definitely going to be fully transparent. As you said, there will be a upper bound that you can use to estimate the costs in the cloud. And once you move, even in the simplest approach, just lift and shift and have everything in the cloud like you have on premise, this is the similar ballpark figure that you will spend in the cloud. But this is where then a point in time when you actually start optimizing and making your cloud spend go down. This is where you're entering the whole different world of managed services, serverless, where you're paying only for the actually execution of your application and not for the hardware that you own and you sit on it, whether you use it or not. Yeah. This is where the most of the optimization is coming.
Yeah, think about it like this, just a way of looking at it that I just, thought of. Where you want to get with your business is that you're basically looking at different assets that you have in the cloud. And then you know how much revenue they're bringing in versus how much you're paying for them. So you can know how productive your capital is when you're deploying it in the cloud. Which means that you have all these, let's say, well, one thing is supportive systems or something like that. But then you have like the things you lifted in from your on-prem. You can start refining them and optimizing them, newer technology, smarter usage of resources and so on to cut the costs, but the revenue stays the same, or you can grow them in terms of usage or how much you sell of them. But you can also start innovating and quickly creating new applications that also are like seeds you're planting in the cloud that will generate revenue for you.
Yeah.
So you get into this macro view where you're just managing assets even, because you see how much is it costing and how much is it giving in return.
And that is on the technical side. But what about people who are supporting the systems on premise? Now they need to do the same in the cloud. They need to develop and support in the cloud. Do they cost something?
Yeah, I mean, yes, for sure. But I mean, we talked about this a bit here before as well, and this is a big topic as well. And it really depends on what's the business we're looking at now, both in terms of size. Mm-hmm. Are they doing everything in-house, partnerships, what exact applications, is there a plan how to evolve that into something completely different, and so on. So obviously there's many aspects here, but yeah, short answer is obviously when you move into the cloud, and we talked about it before, you need skills for operating in the cloud. So that's also maybe you have already, so you choose the cloud provider based on that, but you need to definitely start making sure your people, your teams are having the right skills, and it's also a hiring thing. But these are all actually good things, because overall engineers or product engineers like to learn and like to work with cutting edge technologies like cloud. And also if you want to hire people, well, as a company and as a brand, you want to look good so you can get access to the best people. So you want to be using the best technologies and the most recent and the most interesting and the ones that you can create the best products with. So I think overall that side is good, but then what does it mean in terms of costs? And I think maybe just last thing there, it's the same as to me at least, what you want overall is to get visibility into how you're deploying capital. So that can be in infrastructure or in people. So you have new services, so innovations that you're trying out, or the current existing applications that you're running. Now, how much does it cost in infrastructure, licenses, whatever's needed, but also people to run and create revenue in that size or for that application? That's something you want to be as a CFO. You want to see that. You want to be on a much more granular level, so you can also have discussions on the business level. I mean, that's what Google is doing. Just a very clear example. They are having a lot of new applications and services, and then they're just killing them off when they're not above a certain threshold, how much it's bringing in revenue.
How do we link that to people? The same approach?
No, it's not with people. It's just looking at what you want to do in the end is that you're building a business and you're having various inputs. It's people, skills, it's resources, and in the end you want to create value. You want to create value for your customers. You want to create value for your business. Yeah. So, and you need to understand how much does it cost and how much does it produce. And currently on-prem you are on a 5-year cycle with two values, input and output, total costs. I mean, how do you make any decisions here?
Yeah. So your analogy with Google products would be see which one work and bring most of the revenue.
And they have a level that they need to beat.
Invest in those and keep in them. I think in my view, the same, like you need to invest in the technology during this migration to the cloud. It's the same investment you need to, or similar investment you need to make in people as well, to upskill them. For the forward-looking companies, there is a cost benefit that will come after everything is in cloud and then optimized to be, once you're fully transparent, you know where to invest, where to focus, you optimize it, you will see a lot of gains, both from cost side and agility perspective, but also on the people side. Yes, initially you might invest in them to a bit more to upskill them, but you will see a lot of return on that investment moving forward, because you will have a healthier workforce that are more satisfied, working with cutting edge technology, and overall bringing good to your business. So this migration hump, yes, it needs to companies need to get over it. But once you're on the other side, you will start reaping all the benefits from that. In my view, I think in people you always have to invest.
Absolutely.
Always. So whether it is investment into upskilling them for cloud or investment for something else, but the worst thing is to neglect your employees and leave them where they are and without improving at all.
Yeah, I can only agree there, and I think this is we're touching or entering into a bigger topic around learning organizations, or just as a, kind of to sum up, it's a little bit like you definitely want to, as the employer or business owner, arrange so that you can constantly push the envelope and everybody's motivated and inspiring, which means that you can quickly learn new things, and it becomes as part of the team doing things. They are learning and using the right tools and creating value for the customers, and you're just kind of catering for that to happen and making it short-circuiting almost, that you get into these very quick loops, which is really what it's about to do. Agile product development and innovation. You want to have very quick speed to market, so you want to use the right tools, the latest tools, because they are the most powerful tools, and you want to quickly get the feedback from very happy customers, and then the teams are pretty much set to learn and navigate this incredibly satisfying actually work. Yes. Not that you are in a 2-year cycle to develop some waterfall product and maybe you resigned after 1.5 years because it was too long and no positive feedback.
I would say then, like the bottom line is the cloud is not just same but just cheaper. It is perceived to be maybe in the beginning more expensive because there is this migration hump that needs to happen where during some migration process you have to pay on two sides: the ongoing system that is running on premise to keep the lights on and do your business, while building similar thing or migrating similar thing into the cloud. So in the beginning you might see this mountain of cost in front of you, but after that the level where you're gonna end up is gonna be, from the cost perspective, I would say way lower compared to where you are now. But that is not the only thing. You'll be in much better place because of the transparency, of the agility where you are gonna be, of the lower risk, of the increased pace of innovation, and at the end giving to your customers better products.
Yeah, and obviously it's not like things are going to happen on its own. These are just things that you are unlocking so that you can put in place and make sure that they are in your organization. But they are definitely available in the cloud, and much less so in an on-prem traditional, let's say, organization and way of working. So that's definitely the case, and indeed, like I also mentioned in the beginning, the cheaper versus expensive is usually just a misconception, or you're just limiting the actually what should be part of the discussion when you're looking at cost. So you think it looks more expensive, but that's probably because you're looking at a time horizon which is too short, or you didn't really factor in the most important pieces. So it's really a pretty much a no-brainer. If you see how things need to unfold in the cloud, you can see that you can attach your costs. You will allow you to have transparency on the costs and control to optimize them, and you will know how they compare to how much revenue you're bringing in, which means that you can constantly, you're paying less than what you're bringing in all the time, and you see all the time where, basically these are across your, let's say if you have a product portfolio or something like that. And this is game changing in itself, because without visibility, well, how can you make any decisions?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Well, I think with that we are covering the cloud cost and why customers sometimes see that cloud is perceived to be more expensive. And I think we have debunked this myth that it is not expensive. It might look like that in the beginning, but on a longer term, it definitely works in your favor. Moving.
So if this is a relevant topic for your business, just contact us so that we can help you.
If you like what we are doing, please subscribe to our channel and like our videos.
And also, you can give us feedback and also suggestions for topics that you would like us to discuss and go into more detail.
In any case, stay tuned and see you soon.